Debt. It's the curse of the modern age. He's got debt, they've got debt, she's got debt. Everyone, it seems, has debt. And now, for the first time in living memory, I too am in debt.
My debt is pretty modest, but it's still really annoying, and I've got just 12 months to bring it down to zero.
If you watch enough TV, you'll be convinced that raising cash is easy. All you need do is dig around in your attic, find a bargain, and sell it for a profit. But I don't have access to experts, nor big TV production budgets.
This is a solo mission. This is me versus my credit card.
Why you gotta go and sell your soul? Why you gotta talk about Injun Joe like he's some guy in a fairy tale book? Everybody knows that he just cooks baked beans and brisket in a barbecue stand on the dirty side of town. It's a dirty old man, but he likes his job more than the rest who work with him and consider him a pest. Still he wouldn't care if you called him a rat, but why you gotta talk about Injun Joe like that?
This is the story of how I reduced my credit card bill from £3,800 all the way down to zero in the space of 12 months.
Crucially, I intend to complete this mission without lying, cheating, deceiving, or ripping anybody off.
Nor will I take on another job, dip into my savings, or do anything illegal.
So the intention is to find, earn, or win an additional £3,800 whilst remaining completely squeaky clean and ethical.
And if you're wondering how the hell am I going to do that, well, join the club. At the moment, that debt seems enormous.
I'm broke, but I'm happy. I'm poor, but I'm kind.
Now, although this seems like an enormous amount of money, I'm sure I can do it. And the first wise step is to break it down.
In total, my debt is £3,843.79p, but because I have an interest-free credit card for 12 months, I can spread my payments over a year.
You said everything's gonna be fine, fine, fine.
Dividing my debt into 12 easy-to-digest bite-sized pieces has certainly made it more manageable, but it still means that I have to find 320 quid for my first month's payment in less than a month. Now I need to go away and think about how I'm going to do that, but in the meantime it's important to understand how I got into this mess in the first place. How did I get myself £3,800 of debt?
And so I bought this, an Audi A4 Avant. It's green, it's an estate car, it has roof rails, it's got alloy wheels, the engine's pretty clean, the condition inside's pretty good, it's got a great reputation, and the bodywork doesn't have a speck of rust. I thought I'd got a good deal, but after a few weeks of driving it, I realised that everything wasn't as it should be. The automatic gearbox lurched between second and third. Warning lights flashed for no apparent reason. The front brakes made worrying noises, the steering was really imprecise, and the car's rear end seemed to dance around corners. So I took the car into my local friendly garage for a checkup, and they confirmed my deepest, darkest fears. In short, the car was dangerous and I shouldn't drive it, and in effect I'd wasted £1,000. The cost of repairs was almost twice the value of the car, so I wrote off the Audi as a pile of junk. But of course I still needed a car, but this time I was totally broke. And then, one day, when I least expected it, salvation arrived in the shape of an advert for the Marks & Spencer credit card. With this I could buy a better car, but best of all, it offered 12 months interest-free credit. So I filled in the application form, and a few weeks later my new card arrived, complete with the news that my credit limit was £4,000.
I was very tempted to spend every penny of my £4,000 interest-free loan, but I resisted the urge and I gave myself a budget of £2,500.
I did loads of research and finally I decided to buy this. A Rover 75 Connoisseur. Okay, it might not be as rock and roll as the music suggests, but this car had everything I wanted. It had a bulletproof BMW engine, it had parking sensors, it had a CD multi-changer, and it even had leather seats that can warm your cockles at the flick of a switch. And it also had the dodgiest clutch in Oxfordshire, which one day, without warning, went boom. Well, not quite a boom, it was more of a crunch. But the sorry fact remained that the clutch and a load of other very expensive parts that I'd never even heard of was kaput. I had no choice but to pay for the repairs on my credit card, and so my total debt rose from £2,500 to £3,843.79. So that's how I got my debt. All I need do now is clear it within 12 months.
And my mission starts here. For the last 6 months or so, I've been putting my spare change in this old gherkin jar. And some days when I'm feeling rich, there's a 50p and a 20 and a 10 maybe. And other days when I'm not feeling particularly rich, it's just a handful of coppers. And you might think it's quite desperate, counting up all this money and adding it to my credit card debt. But, as Tesco says, every little helps. And I bet there's about 40 quid in here. Which is a grand total of £67.30p, quite a bit more than the 40 I predicted. This is a rather intriguing moment. A few hours ago I had a look at my Ladbrokes account, and Ladbrokes, as you know, is a betting shop, and I occasionally have a couple of quid, literally, on a horse or a couple of greyhounds or whatever it might be. And I discovered I had £3.88 in there. So I looked at the football fixtures and I took a punt. I guessed that Aston Villa would beat Chelsea, and I guessed that Everton would beat West Brom 2-0, and I also guessed that Fulham would beat Norwich 2-1. And lo and behold,
in the first game my prediction was way out and Chelsea beat Aston Villa 4-2. But in my second game Everton really did win 2-0, and in my third Fulham beat Norwich 2-1, just as I predicted. Okay, guessed.
And I only bet £3.85 in total, but at the moment, because of those two victories, I stand to win £22.40p, which is not bad. But the really intriguing thing is that tomorrow Spurs play Swansea. That's my fourth game I've bet on, and I've bet that Spurs beat Swansea 3-1. And if they do beat Swansea 3-1, it's a big long shot in the dark, I admit it, but if they do beat Swansea 3-1 precisely, then I stand to win over 300 quid. I've just checked the score, and believe it or not, Tottenham did win 3-1. Tottenham, I love you. Harry Redknapp, I love you even more. But it's true, I've won 330 quid. 3 out of my 4 games, I can't even count, I'm that excited. 3 out of my 4 games came up just as I wanted.
Time for a quick stock take. My loose change yielded 67 quid and my gambling victory brought in another 330. So that's £397 in total, some 77 quid more than my target. Seeing as I did so well with my gambling this month, I've decided to leave £30 and 40p in my Ladbrokes account to be reinvested next month, which leaves a tidy total of £367 and 30p. This still leaves me with a surplus of £47 over and above my £320 target. So I have a choice. I could simply increase my credit card payment, but that would be far too sensible. And I'm old enough and wise enough to know there's a much better option.
A little tip, if you do win some money, boys, make sure you treat the missus. My victory of 330 quid has cost me this, a nice garden table.
There's things I want, there's things I think I want.
Buying that table must have been really good karma, because when I got home I discovered a savings account that I'd completely forgotten about. There's not much in there and I don't want to empty the account completely, so I'm going to take out £80, which even after buying the table puts me way back in surplus.
Do I want the perfect way?
Come on, I'm not that stingy. My missus is worth more than a £45 table from home base, so I'm treating her to a meal at Oxford's finest Chinese restaurant. And this seems like a great opportunity to eat, drink and be merry, because tomorrow, I predict, my credit card bill will arrive and then I have to pay.
I walked in the restaurant with £402 and 30p in my pocket, and I left with £351 and 3p. The contents of my gherkin jar, a forgotten savings account and a very lucky bet have put me 31 quid ahead of my target.
I said at the start of this film that I'm going to be as ethical as I possibly can, and that extends to paying my bills on time. In fact, I'm going to take that principle a step further, and I'm going to pay my credit card bill on the day that it arrives. I have in my hand a piece of paper that says, next stop, the bank. So there you have it, £351 and 3p paid off my credit card bill, and one very empty jar. And this month actually has been a bit of a breeze, and it's all down to that miraculous gambling win. If I hadn't have won that £330, not only would I have not been able to buy that table and treated my missus, but I also wouldn't have been able to pay so much off my credit card bill. And I know that next month is going to be much, much more difficult, because I have to sell that piece of junk, otherwise known as an Audi.
Heavy metal.